This video is created in partnership with Morgen. If everything on your to-do list feels equally important and it all needs to be done right now, then you are gonna love today's video because we're gonna go through my 3-step prioritization process to make sure that you are not stressed anymore about the 576 things that need to be done. And I know that's a totally made up number, but it feels that way sometimes. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kalyn, and if you're new here, make sure you subscribe because we talk about how to get your life organized, back on track, and to be productive without that toxic hustle culture mentality. Now, I am the type of person who wants to do it all. Let me know in the comments if you can relate. I've got a lot going on my plate. I'm running 2 businesses. I travel full-time in an RV. I want to make room for relationships and hobbies and goals, and I'm well aware that it is a lot and it is probably a personality flaw. But this is the type of life I want, and to be able to exist in said life and actually enjoy it, I have had to learn, and I am still learning, how to prioritize things. Because if you're looking at a big, massive to-do list and there's no hierarchy to it, then that can just feel really overwhelming, and then you start to procrastinate on things because you just feel like you can't handle anything on that list. And I know prioritization can kind of be a buzzword, like people throw it around like, I need to prioritize what matters. What does that actually mean practically? And so that's what we're gonna get into. The one thing that I want you to start with, so this is step 1, is to establish one place for all of your tasks, like literally one place. If you have things in Notion and Todoist and your notes app on your phone, and you grab a sticky note and you have a notebook that you used to bullet journal in and you've written things in there and your to-dos are just scattered, that's part of the problem. We've got to get it all in one place so that we know what we're working with and so that we can start organizing things by priority. Plus, it's just so much easier to manage when your tasks are in one place. Most digital to-do list apps do have some sort of prioritization feature, which I love. If you are using an analog tool like a bullet journal or a regular planner, you can still prioritize by highlighting your top 3 for the day or putting a symbol next to your number 1 task that you need to get done. So we've got to start looking at our to-dos as they need to have a priority. There's no way that all of them are of equal value because we can't multitask and do them all at once. If you've been around on my channel, you know I use Notion a lot, and for my master task list specifically because it's so powerful to like organize by giving your master task list all these different contexts and tags and everything. Now I'm gonna pop in here and show you what mine looks like. I have done a video about it, so I'm not gonna go in super detail. You can go watch that. But basically, even though Notion doesn't technically have a native prioritization option, if you use a database as your to-do list instead of just like checkboxes on a page, so this is a database here, it looks exactly like an Excel spreadsheet, then you can add what is called a select property, and that's what I have here labeled priority, where I can add different options as high, medium, or low. So that is what I use to prioritize my tasks in my master task list, and that's what I work off of when I'm planning my weekly routine and then when I go from my week to my day. The second step is to, obviously, I've kind of already mentioned, go through all of your tasks and assign a priority level to each of them. And I'm gonna give you a little cheat sheet of sorts on how I determine what is a high, medium, or low priority. If you've been in the productivity space and you've watched productivity people, you know that there are so many different prioritization methods. There's the Eisenhower matrix that you can use where it's got the 4 quadrants. There's the ABC method. There is Eat That Frog. I kind of use a combination of all 3, but here's what my criteria is. So for my high priority tasks, these are my absolute must do. So they're important and urgent. So if you're looking at the Eisenhower matrix, that top left quadrant is going to be what is important, what is urgent, what feels like it has to get done, but also is going to move the needle in my life or business in the direction that I want it to go. The other thing I look at is when I'm deciding whether it's a high priority or not is, does this task have a high ROI in my life or business? And ROI is a financial term. It's return on investment. So I'm constantly looking at things and saying, like, is my time and effort worth doing on this task because it pays me dividends in the future for my business or my life? Like in terms of life, I guess I would say, like, is there a big ROI of scrolling on Instagram versus reading a nonfiction book? Or in my business, is there a bigger ROI with creating a Notion template that I can list in my shop versus creating a 6-second reel on Instagram. I don't know why I keep bringing up Instagram. I have a toxic relationship with it. But that just like, what, has a span of 48 hours before it's dead. So that's how I determine what things are high priority. Does it have a high ROI? And then, like I said before, is it like of equal urgency and importance? Now, when it comes to the medium priority, this is a little bit more like mushy, messy in the middle. It's things that I need to do at some point, but they don't necessarily need to be done right away, or they're not as big of an ROI, I guess you would say. And then when it comes to the low priority tag, these are items that I would like to do, that I probably should do, but might not even need to be done at all in some point. These are the tasks that I am most likely to just keep moving and migrating forward through my to-do list every single day because my high priority tasks take preference. And that's something that I want you to think about too, is as you're assigning these tags, and this is a great reason to use digital tools as well when you're doing this, is you can easily change them. Like, these tags are not set in stone, and something that might be a medium priority for me today is going to be a high priority in a week because I'm closer to a deadline or I've gotten through all my other high priority tasks. So things are just kind of moving around in my to-do list so that when I get to where I'm actually planning out my day, which we're going to talk about in a minute, you'll see on my personal dashboard here, and I have a whole personal dashboard tour if you want me to kind of explain everything that is on this page that I built inside Notion. You can see the priority tags over here. So this is pulling in my master task list, an embedded master task list, the same database, but it's just filtered to show me what I have due today and all of my tags. So when I look at my next day's list, I usually plan the night before for the next day, then I can look and say, okay, are these actually high priority now that we've gotten to this point in the calendar? Or is something actually a medium priority? Did I add something extra to my list that is high priority? Generally, I don't like having any more than 3 high priority tasks in a day, because if those are the only things that I have time for or to get done, then that day is going to feel like a success for me. And preaching productivity stuff, that is the one thing you want to set yourself up for success, not for failure, because then you are just not going to enjoy doing things on your list. I mean, I guess there's some things that we don't always enjoy, but I feel like you're going to dread your task list less if you know you can actually complete the important things on it. Step number 3, after you've gotten everything, all your tasks in one place, you're starting to organize via those priority tags. Then when it comes to planning your actual day, I want you to schedule those high priority tasks in your calendar, just like they are an event, because if they are not in your calendar, they're less likely to get done. That is why I don't work off of this task list in Notion. This shows me what I have to do today, but I go into Morgen to actually have my plan for the day, my daily schedule. And the reason why I love a digital app like Morgen to do this is, number one, Morgen integrates beautifully with Notion. It is so seamless. And you can also change things around. So what I'm talking about is time blocking. You're literally time blocking those high priority tasks. And a lot of people are not fans of time blocking because they feel like their schedule is set in stone and they can't change it. Well, it does feel that way when you're using a paper tool, but when you're using a digital tool like Morgen, then you can just easily drag these around. I was gonna film this video at 9. That's what I had my time block as. I didn't actually get to it until 10:30. Boom, I could move it, no problem. On the left-hand side of this screen is where you're gonna find all of my Notion tasks that Morgen has, again, synced with and brought into their app here, into their software. And they do sync with other to-do list apps. So if you don't use Notion, but you use another one, just make sure and check and see if they integrate it with, they're always adding new features, which I love. The company is just working behind the scenes to continually make this calendar better, which is one of the reasons why I'm so on board with using it. But like I said, it integrates with Notion, and so here are my overdue tasks, my due today tasks, tomorrow, and then due soon. And when I click on the due today, you can see that my context tags, those high priority tags, and even my category tags are coming through from Notion into Morgen. And if you want to kind of toggle those on and off, maybe you don't need to see all of them, you can go to the three dots up here, and then you can scroll down to the display labels section and see, I could say, you know, like these have certain energy levels. Category, you wouldn't necessarily need to see that if you wanted to just see a clean list of the high priority tasks or whatever was a priority. And then if you caught what I said earlier, I said schedule your high priority tasks. Don't schedule all your tasks. So I think that's another mistake that we make, because we think, obviously, that we're going to get through our entire list in a day, and that doesn't always happen. And when it does happen, that's a rare occurrence, cause for celebration. But high priority tasks, those are the things we absolutely must get done, right? So let's make sure that those are in our calendar and make sure we have room for them first before we putting everything else in. So generally, I will just drag and drop. That's the other great thing about this. So let me go to tomorrow, because I've got a couple things on here. I want to start editing this video that I'm filming now. So I can just drag and drop from the side. I can pull it into Morgen. This is a high priority task. And then I can say, like, it's going to take me, let's just say I want to spend actually 2 hours on it tomorrow morning before my meeting. So you can, you know, shrink or expand the length of the task depending on how long you think it's going to take. And obviously, you probably already know this, but add more time than you think it will take, because generally, almost always, I guess, takes longer, at least for me. That's how it happens with me. So that's basically what I do. The night before, I look over what my tasks are for tomorrow. I add anything that I think is going to need to be added. I change my priority tags based on what I have time for that day. And then I go into Morgen and I drag and drop, and I make sure that those high priority tasks are scheduled and that they have enough time to complete them. And then sometimes I will add maybe a medium task on there if I feel like my day is going well and I can fit it in and I still have time. And if you're curious how I'm getting this layered look, I have attached this to my Google Calendar, where I have all of these different calendars and they're color coded. And if you want these color codes, I have a link in the description as well that will give you the exact hex codes for these, so it can look nice and calm and soothing. But these are all in as a base layer of what my ideal week is, and then I pull my tasks over onto those things. So if there was something due in my morning routine, then I would pull it over my morning routine block. And then obviously my work block is going to be all of my work tasks. So I hope that makes sense in kind of how I am using this. But let me show you something. Maybe it's my favorite part of Morgen, but when you're done with the task, when you click the checkbox, you get a confetti burst. How inspiring and encouraging is that? I feel like I can just tackle my to-do list now. I can do the rest of it because I got a confetti burst. It's the little things. But what do we do if we don't complete everything on our schedule for the day? Not to fear, that's why it's digital. You can easily move it to the next day. And let's just say, yeah, I didn't get to the thumbnail, oops. So I'm gonna move it to the next day, easy. And then a notification should pop up. There we go. The due date has been updated in Notion. So there's a two-way sync between Morgen and Notion, so that when I move things in my calendar to another day, it tells and communicates with Notion and says, hey, update that due date there as well. So it's very easy to move things around and reschedule what you need to schedule. But it really is important to get these tasks in an actual calendar, just so you can see realistically how much you can get done in a day. Like if you have a block of errands, that is going to take a huge chunk out of your day that you have to count for, like traveling to and from the store, and you might not have the ability to be able to complete everything on your list, but you don't know that because you're looking at it in list form over here rather than a schedule form where you can account for that extra time and extra margin that you need to get things done. If you want to try Morgen for yourself, you can sign up for free and play around in it and see if you like it. If you do, which I think you will, and you want to integrate with Notion or another task management app, then you will need to upgrade to a premium subscription. But I have a discount code for you, so if you use Kalyn15, you will get 15% off the annual rate. And that's gonna be the best deal. The link will be in my description, or you can scan the QR code down here. And thank you again to Morgan for partnering with me on this video. All right, before we close, I have a bonus tip for you. So you followed those 3 steps, great. But something that's really gonna help you out, that I need to preach to myself, is to say no. Say no a lot. To not just activities, events, side hustle, business ideas, extra hobbies. Like I said, I'm telling this to myself. All the things that you want to add to your task list, you really need to look at it and say, is this something that is worth me saying no to something else to make room for this? Because that's what's going to happen. Something we're already at, like all of our capacity. And so it's not like we can add something new and just continue to maintain the same schedule that we're maintaining. So it's really important to think about, like, what am I saying yes to that I'm going to say no to over here, and vice versa. That always helps me think about like what I actually want. Like, do I want this new shiny object thing that I'm gonna do? Or do I want to keep doing what I'm doing and just try to streamline it and make it better and maybe have a little bit more free time? Imagine that. As a high achiever myself, something that I have found extremely helpful is to create a don't-do list. And I know that sounds really silly, because like, why do you need to make a list of things that you don't do? It's actually very helpful. It helps you think intentionally about the things that you don't want to do, so that when that opportunity comes up, then you can say no to it. And I have some serious things on there and I have some silly things on there. And if you want me to do a video on my don't do list, let me know in the comments, because I would love to share that with you to inspire you to create your own, so that you don't feel guilty, because you can be like, nope, I can't do that. It's on my don't do list. It's just something I don't do. Trust me, it does make it easier to say no. And obviously, the less we have on our list, the less we have to prioritize. That is just what? Productivity math. I hope this strategic way of thinking through prioritizing what's on your to-do list is going to help you allocate your time more effectively. You know the order that you need to tackle your list. It doesn't all need to be done all at once, even though it feels that way sometimes. So take a deep breath, focus on what's important, and just start plugging away. Make sure you watch this video next, because we're gonna do a deep dive into the Morgen calendar app. I'm gonna show you how to use it to organize your weekly and daily schedule, and dig a little bit deeper into all the different features that I wasn't able to get to in this video. So I'll see you in the next one.